Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm a comic book writer here in Singapore. We can take a look at some of the stuff that my team and I have done over here. So Crimson Star as an idea was inspired by originally Zorro. And what I wanted to do with them is have a Singaporean superhero, but also a superhero whose stories were being told by Singaporeans. So I'm Singaporean, I'm the writer. All the artists that I hope to work with for Crimson Star would also be Singaporeans, or at least people who have been living in Singapore long enough to kind of understand what it means to be a Singaporean character or superhero. And because of that, the inspiration that I drew from for the character was my favorite soccer player, Fandi Ahmad. So I've spoken about how my approach to the comics, my process is different each time, depending on the topic or how I'm inspired by it. However, there are things that generally connect all of my stuff together, and it's usually the idea that heroism can make the world a better place. So, with Crimson Star as well as Legionaries or Tales of the Crimson Star, the idea is always that superheroes as well as comics about superheroes are meant to make the world a better place because they're meant to inspire people to want to make the world a better place. But it's not always like that, right? The themes are sometimes a bit more um, somewhat subtle. It can also be somewhat obscure because the fundamental purpose of the comic is to entertain your audience. It's great to have a message, and it's great if your message is positive, but it first needs to be about entertaining your audience because otherwise it just becomes going to school where you're telling somebody what to do and how to do without telling them why or putting it in an entertaining way. Becoming a comic creator in Singapore is it's not easy, but becoming a comic creator in today's climate, in today's financial market, it's not easy no matter where you are. Sure, there are more avenues, but if you live in places like America, you've got more opportunity to meet the right people and so on. But in terms of doing it yourself, you always can, no matter where you are. But it's it's probably safer to make sure that you have other skill sets. So the comics community in Singapore is something that's constantly evolving, very much like the comics we're reading. When I released my first comic in 2010, it was a very different climate. People actually didn't want the comic actively. They were returning our free comics to us, and they had no interest in reading it because it was local. Today it's very different, and there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made within the community in terms of inclusion or accessibility for that matter. So while I do like writing comics in general, and I do love creating characters, I sometimes have a different purpose to making things up, to building new worlds that people can fall into. Would you like a closer look?